All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the world's greatest Bronze Age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I'm your co-host Mike L, and as always, I'm joined by
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right, and this is a very special episode, making his fifth guest appearance. Fifth, yeah. Cousin Brandon.
You might know me from podcasts.
That's right. It's our old buddy, Cousin Brandon.
Oh, I've done this 5 times. That can't be right.
Yeah.
I say this every time.
Let me see if I can remember them. The first time you came on was Secret Wars.
Okay.
Yes.
Then you came on like the week after we did or pretty close after Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
Right. Yep.
Then you were here for Batman 600, which Mike L said you picked, but I know you did not pick that.
Oh, that was awful. I did pick it, and it was terrible.
And you fell asleep.
Wait, you missed one.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, I can't think of the one in between.
We did that one with that, like...
Quasar!
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
That where the planet fucked his dad. Remember that? The planet was like blowing his dad. Remember?
that was a terrible comment. Anyway, whatever.
One of my
All right,
favorite
anyway.
comments, but anyway.
It wasn't a planet. It was a tree stump. Right?
Wait a minute. Didn't we do, though... Is the Crisis event... Was that the Superman one?
No. Crisis was where it was every DC comic character.
Oh, gee. So then, wait a minute, though. But I thought we did a Superman one, too, where I hated it.
I don't know.
Where I was like, he's just telling everything. Why don't they just show what happened?
Oh,
Man of Steel?
Yeah,
that's right.
That was it.
That's right.
Wait. That was Kevin Jank, wasn't it?
No, it was me. I hated it. I was on the show talking to you, and I kept saying, why do they keep telling us what happened? Just show us the goddamn the artwork.
Whoa, that screws up our records here. So you were on our 100th episode?
No, I don't know.
I don't.
You know, fellas, I drink. No, don't.
He's a
I'm
big
the
drinker.
last person you should be listening to.
I think
Remember the time
maybe
we did Goonies?
you read along with us at home. Maybe that's probably what happened.
Yeah,
you were talking to your radio machine. And you're like, guys, why is he?
To be fair, I do like the podcast.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, all of our records say Kevin Jank, so unless I, misrecorded every record of that episode, I could listen.
All I know is that there was a time I joined you guys, and we talked about Superman, and it was all about his origin story, and I kept saying, why does he keep saying, like, oh, then this happened, I can't believe, and I'm like, just fucking draw it.
That does sound very familiar. I do remember having this conversation, but
yes. And my memory is terrible, by the way, so.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is terrible.
And what are your names?
8 times.
I'm Larry, and that's Mike L.
I emailed Larry today, by the way.
How's he doing?
I don't know. He didn't get back to me. I asked him 3 questions. I said, hey, Larry, number 1, how do you like that Twilight Zone set I recommended? Number 2, how's your cast iron skillet working out? And number 3, who's the Ed?
Larry emailed me like 2 weeks ago to check on me, so that was nice of Larry.
Oh, good. Oh, very good. Wonderful.
But anyway, let's get to the matter at hand here. Brandon's back for his 5th, possibly 6th time. And now this time, Mike Gale told me he let you pick the book entirely.
Yes.
I did. And he did.
So tell the kids what you chose.
Well.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I read it yesterday. I picked issue 4 of a 4 limited edition series called Magik.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as good as I remember.
Yes, this is from 1983, starring Illyana Rasputin, Colossus's little sister. This is when she becomes Magik. And Michael, last week on the show, when you mentioned it, you called it Storm and Illyana. And I was like, wait, I never heard of that before in my fucking life. I thought it was like a Wolverine Kitty Pryde situation, like one of them miniseries. So I was like, what is this? But then when I saw like the Magik, like they threw in the Storm and Illyana just so people know that, hey, this is the X-Men. Right. You should buy this book. But I do remember it being referenced in like editor notes and shit back in the day. Like, go back and read Magik to find out what happened to her down in limbo or whatever. I never did. So I never read any of these books. And looking at the covers, I didn't recognize one single goddamn cover. So, so this is my first experience with this. But Brandon, was this like a big deal for you back in the day? Like, why did you pick this?
Yeah. So you said, what year was this? 83?
83. 83.
Okay, so 83, I would have been 8 years old, and at that time, not only was I collecting comic books, but Mitchell, the masturbator, 4 years older
That's his
than
brother. That's his brother for you at home.
Sorry, yes, that's right. He was collecting comic books, so he would have been 12. So at that time, he was a much bigger X-Men fan. I was still just reading my Spider-Man books mostly. But this was a miniseries that he got, and he loved it. And I remember reading it then, and I remember reading it and being like, I was like, wow, that was, I really enjoyed it. Here's maybe the fatal flaw, at least in this time around. I really should have read the first three.
Yeah, I didn't read the first three either.
Yeah.
And by the way, this issue came out in 84. Issue 1 came out in 83, so whatever.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So, but the other, and I mean, I don't want to, to spoil anything, but tell me if I'm wrong. There was a Marvel character called Mephisto, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. In my memory, he was battling Mephisto in this miniseries. So when I read it today, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? I thought it was the guy from Clash of the Titans. That's what it may as well have been. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't remember.
Oh God! In the original Clash of the Titans, the bad guy who's got like the horns and the tail, and at one point he's got a little pitchfork on his right. He's horrifying. But,
I remember watching it when I was a kid, but hey.
Oh yeah, I'm looking it up right now. It was very scary. Yes.
Yes, he was terrifying.
Hey Brandon, the other day on the LCS show, we did some movie with some lady from. I think the movie was Star Crash with David Hasselhoff. But that same lady in there was in a movie, Sinbad and his Golden Travel Voyages or whatever. Do you remember that when we were kids, Sinbad?
Oh, yeah.
I remember the 80s comic.
Oh, okay.
That's really
different guy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but Michael, you remember, like, all the bad, like, stop-action motion monsters? Yeah, okay, anyway.
Well, to be fair, though, Mike Dell, I remember that Star Crash movie because I watched it not too long ago.
Oh, yeah, my condolences.
It's pretty great. Yeah, it's pretty great.
That lady in there is great.
Yeah.
I can't remember Caroline.
I can't either, but
but anyway. All right, so that's why you chose Magik, because Mitchell the Masturbator enjoyed it, and you're like, oh, this will be great. We'll watch this.
That's right.
But that guy you're talking about, not Mephisto, it's Belasco.
That's right.
Belasco.
Yeah.
Sounds like a hot sauce.
I was just thinking that. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Give me a couple shots of Belasco, and you're in heaven.
His first appearance was in Kazar issue 11, 1981.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, whenever someone's first appearance is in Kazar, it's like, oh, yikes!
Not like he was Quasar. I mean, come on.
He was created by Steve Gerber and Val Mayerick, so a Steve Gerber creation. But this Belasco fella, he's a demon ruler of Limbo, the land of Limbo. Sure. Yeah, so. That's what his deal is.
Yeah, that's the other problem, too. I guess in my mind, well, to be fair, in my memory, I was like, oh, yeah, she like goes to hell and battles Mephisto. And I was like, this isn't that.
She goes to Limbo and battles Belasco. So.
Yeah.
It's a real letdown.
Yeah, she had a fight with some hot sauce. It's not, someone's going to fight the devil. That's really disappointing.
Of course, the writer for this issue is Chris Claremont. He wrote like everything X-Men related in the 80s.
Chris Claremont.
You love Chris Claremont, or you met Chris Claremont?
I very much liked him as a writer.
Yeah, he was great when we were kids. Not so much these days. But then when the artist here is Sal Buscema, but the first two issues of the limited series, John Buscema drew it, and then Ron Frenz drew issue 3. So, Michael, I don't know about you, but when there's a 4-issue limited series and there are 3 different artists, that's a bad sign.
Very bad sign. I agree.
So why is that a bad sign? Like, just I want your expert opinion. Tell me why that's a bad thing.
Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I mean, if you only have 4 issues, you want consistency, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. And that was I assumed as much, but
you would like the book to have the same look throughout all 4 issues, like it's a cohesive.
So I get that, but like, would it not also be fun to do a 4-issue series and have 4 different artists do or no? Do you think
I would say no.
Only if that is the, like you're like the not what's the word I'm looking for?
The intent.
Yeah.
Your gimmick.
Yeah, your gimmick, your intent. But if you're trying to make a complete, coherent story, you want it to be, one artist, one unified.
Also, Michael, I think it also speaks to like the passion of the creators involved in the product there, because like if you have 3 different artists and 4 issues, that means it really wasn't that important to any of them. That they're just kind of trying to fill in the slots,
right?
The schedule, like John started it, he got too busy to finish it because he didn't give a damn. So then they bring, who can we get? Oh, Ron Friends, he'll fill in an issue. And then but he doesn't want to do issue 4. Who can we get? Oh, John's brother Sal. Let's get him. He'll do it. So, yeah. It just kind of makes it seem like no one gave a fuck about the book.
Right.
Right.
Did Chris Claremont write all 4?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think, Michael, I don't think it was allowed for anyone else to write any X-Men related books in the 80s.
Not at the time, yeah.
He just wrote everything. Good Lord.
I was going to ask you, though, point out, there were times in this particular comic where I thought it looked like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's why, because like you can tell Sal really wasn't invested in this. He was just like, cranking it out to finish it, get it done.
So maybe it all makes sense now. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So he was just filling in to get the thing done, because it doesn't, Michael. I think we can say it does kind of look like that, right? Like it was pretty.
I tend to disagree, but we'll get to that later. Yeah.
All right. Because I think this is very rushed Sal Buscema, but all right. So anyway, what else should we know about this? Michael, did you have any history with Magik, the limited series back in the day?
Well, only that, I read every X-Men comic published in the 80s.
Yeah, I thought I did too, but I never read this.
But then, like, a few years ago, I realized I missed all these miniseries, like Kitty Pryde and Wolverine.
I read that.
Yeah, and then a couple other ones I forgot.
Nightcrawler.
I still haven't read that. Yeah.
I read that. Yeah.
And then this one, I did not read it until a couple years ago. So it was like a new thing to me.
Did they, correct me if I'm wrong, because this was a weird miniseries, but didn't they do a 2-part miniseries called like Havoc and Wolverine?
Yes, it was a 4-issue prestige format.
It was 4 issues. The artwork was amazing from what I remember.
Painted.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah.
That was later. That was like 89, 90, I think.
Okay.
Hey, Michael, a good limited series, X-Men back in the day, X-Men Alpha Flight, 2 issues, but I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah, that was good, yeah. That was Paul Smith on art.
I believe so, yeah.
I think I read that, but I don't remember what happens, but that sounds awfully familiar. But
yeah, Alpha Flight. Michael loves Alpha Flight.
I love Alpha Flight. They're awesome.
Not quite, but.
So, all right. All right, what else should we say about this? Anything? I don't know.
Only that, I'm a big fan of Anya Taylor-Joy, and she plays Magik in the New Mutants movie that I've seen twice.
I was going to say, where are you going with this? All right, I didn't know that. Brandon, did you watch that New Mutants movie?
No, because you or someone told me it was horseshit. So
I think Michael. Yeah, I never watched it.
But you just said you watched it twice.
Yeah, which means it's not bad. No, it's not bad.
Oh, it is? Okay, all right. I'll give it
Now, when I say it's not bad, I don't mean it's good. I just mean that it's not terrible, So
it's watchable, but it's not. Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Because I meant to tell you, and again, I should really, I don't think I mentioned this on the last Spider-Cast. Did I tell you that I did get to see Spider-Man, what was the latest one? No Way Home?
No Way Home, yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it was a really fun watch. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was very fun.
Because our buddy Kevin Jank reviewed it on the LCS show, and just his description of it sounded terrible.
Oh, I really liked it. I thought it was really clever and creative, and it was a fun watch. Definitely better than the second one. The second one was not great, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right, fair enough. what should we get to? I was just going to say something else about this, but now, I guess we should provide some of the backstory because this is issue 4. So, Mike L., I'm sure you did a ton of research on the first 3 issues. Can you catch the kids up on what happened in those first 3 issues?
I'll have you know I did read an article about this miniseries today.
Okay.
Because it was an issue of a magazine called Back Issue.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't remember any of it, but I do know that the reason John Buscema only did the first 2 issues is because at this time he was apparently there was a huge 7-year gap where he didn't do any superhero comics. He was only doing Conan.
Yeah. A ton of Conan.
And then he did the first 2 issues of this, and then for some reason he was pulled in all these other directions, and so he just couldn't finish it. So they got Ron Frenz to do 3, and then obviously Sal Buscema to do 4. And then this was also during a time when, they were trying to milk the X-Men franchise for as much as they could. So they did this. And I know that they revisited this story later on with Inferno, but Chris Claremont regrets that it turned into a big crossover. He wanted to just keep it focused on, this character, but obviously it didn't happen that way. So.
All right. Well, I'll catch you kids up real quick because I did do some research, I think. Maybe. So this story actually begins in Uncanny X-Men issue 160 when they're fighting Belasco, and Colossus's little sister, Illyana, is abducted by Belasco, the evil demon in Limbo, all right? And he, pulls her down into a portal into Limbo, but the X-Men are dragging her back out, but when they yank her out, she goes from a 7-year-old girl to a 14-year-old girl. So she lived 7 years and just the span of a couple panels in the X-Men book. So that book started with her as a little girl, ended with her as a teenager. And they didn't go back and fill in what happened until a year later. Because I think that was in 1982. And then they came out with this book in 83. And this story tells what happened to her when she was in limbo for what seemed like a few seconds, but in actuality is 7 years for the little girl there, So it's kind of a good gimmick. That's a nifty idea, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Brandon, you like that idea? I think it's pretty good.
That's fine.
All right.
Because again, I guess I'm just saying that because again, I read this and I really should have read the first 3 again. I was like, what the fuck is? I was like, oh god. Okay.
So when she gets into Limbo, that Belasco fella is the evil ruler there, and he tries to corrupt her, and make her his little his protege or whatever, his little demon spawn. And so she's studying under him, and there's something she has some medallion with a pentagram on it, and when he gets 5 bloodstones into that pentagram, she will become I don't know, he'll be able to conquer Earth. Isn't that it, Michael?
I think so, yeah.
Conquer Earth. So the first 3 issues, he's producing these bloodstones out of her soul and her essence and corrupting her a little bit more each time. And when she's down there, though, there's also an earlier version of the X-Men who were from a different dimension. And they tried to fight Belasco, and he murdered everybody except for Storm and Shadowcat. Although Shadowcat is now called Cat, and she's more feline than human or something. I don't know. It gets a little weird. And Storm doesn't have her weather powers. She's now a magician as well. That's right.
Wow. This is off the rails.
It gets a little crazy.
Yeah. Because I was reading this and I'm like, what the? Again, I'll say it one more time. Should have read the first 3.
So
I didn't understand what I was reading. So yeah.
So Storm is trying to save Illyana and teach her the good ways of magic. Belasco's trying to corrupt her, and then Kat's kind of in the middle. She says all magic's bad, and she trains Illyana. She kidnaps Illyana and trains her in martial arts and sword fighting and shit. And then she tries to conquer Belasco. But then Belasco defeats Cat, turns her into a really feral beast of a cat. And then Illyana kills Cat at the end of issue 3. And that's right when this issue opens. Because Storm tried to come and fight Belasco as well. So we're in the aftermath of that big fight when this book opens. And by the way, not only was Illyana kidnapped by Belasco into Limbo and then by Cat, but she first came to the United States, Michael, because Arcade kidnapped her. Remember that?
Oh, kind of.
I
did
remember
read that, but I don't
Arcade.
remember that.
Yeah.
Arcade was great.
Yeah, I like Arcade.
Yeah, he was cool. So he kidnapped her for some little death trap he had there for the X-Men, and then they rescued her, and they brought her back to Professor Xavier's school, and then she got kidnapped again right away. Good Lord. Poor
Wow.
kid. He's getting the kidnaps. So, all right.
Go ahead.
Oh, wait, you had something else I was going to start.
No, I was going to ask you a question, but it's actually from the comics. So I'll wait till we get there. There's no reason for me to yeah, I won't rush things. That's fine.
All right. So let's look at the cover, Michael.
All right, so here we go. We got our corner box here that has the exact same image that's on the cover, which is a shot of Illyana kind of floating in the air with her legs crossed. She's got her demon horns and her fangs and her tail. She has a skimpy little outfit on with like a torn top and like a torn kind of almost like underwear, and she's holding her sword up and floating.
Soul sword.
Yeah, soul sword, kind of floating in this like it looks like a almost like a castle, and there's books in the background. There's little demons and skulls around, and then the pentagram on the ground, and then in the foreground there's some books there. And it says, from the X-Men, Storm and Illyana, Magik, and then it says number 4 in a 4-issue limited series.
This cover was drawn by Brett Blevins.
Awesome.
And yeah, when I was a kid, I hated Brett Blevins' stuff. I just despised it. But as an adult, I appreciate it more. And I think this cover is great.
Me too.
Especially when you consider the other 3 covers in this series were pretty terrible. And then this cover is really nice. I know, Brandon, how do you feel about this cover?
I liked it. I that's part of the reason I think I wanted to do this one is in my memory, at least, I remember thinking, man, what an iconic cover this is. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice. Has a nice energy to it.
What's funny? I just went back and checked. You're right. Issue 1 is terrible, the cover.
Yeah, 2 and 3 aren't winners either.
And I'm going to point out, this cover was used for the hardcover reprint. So it kind of proves that, this was the good one as well.
Yeah, this is a great cover. So good on you, Brett Blevins. Good on you, buddy. I guess I kind of liked him when he was drawing New Mutants. Like, he had a run on New Mutants, right?
Yeah, it was great. Yep.
I think what angered me was he did a couple fill-in issues on Uncanny X-Men, and it just was very disruptive because his style was so different. And I got very upset when that happened. I was like, you son of a bitch, Brett Blevins.
To be fair, I'm looking at the cover of all 4, and the rest all of them pretty much suck, except for this one.
Yeah, exactly.
They almost all have like similar designs, like people on the left, people on the right doing things.
But particularly the one with Nightcrawler looks awful.
Yeah, I should mention in the first 3 issues there was a demonic Nightcrawler who was like Belasco's. He guarded Belasco's castle, and Cat ended up killing him. So.
No, it's just bad artwork. Oof.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. Issue 4 called Dark Child, Michael.
Yes. Dark Child. So we start off with this is Belasco and Sim. Did we talk about Sim?
Yeah, Sim is his demon buddy, his lackey down in Limbo, and he also first appeared in Uncanny X-Men 160. But he would become pretty prominent later on, especially in that Inferno storyline you talked about, Michael.
And what I didn't realize until many years later is that his name, as well as his little what do you call that kind of vest jacket? Yeah. He's supposed to be inspired by Cerebus the Aardvark, created by Dave Sim. That's why he's called Sim.
Sorry, inspired by whom, did you say?
Cerebus.
It's an indie comic published in Canada called Cerebus the Aardvark, created by a guy named Dave Sim.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You probably recognize it if you saw it, Brandon, because even though it was independent, it was featured a lot in comic book shops and everything.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. I do recognize it. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And this made me think, Michael, we should really do one of those issues here on this show. Right?
Sure, absolutely.
There's an issue or a comic called The Amazing Cerebus that's just a ripoff of The Amazing Spider-Man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I parodied them all, but anyway.
Yeah, that's Sim. I always liked Sim, the demon guy. He's a big purple demon guy. And wasn't he always smoking a cigar and cracking wise too or something?
I think so, yeah.
So anyway.
And then the other bad guy in Inferno was Naster. He was the other demon. Cool name. But anyway, so we got Belasco and we got Sim, and apparently at the end of the last issue, Illyana, she stabbed Storm, right?
No, she killed Cat. She broke Cat's neck, and Storm was beaten up because Belasco was beating the hell out of her, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, so she's there's a lot of first-person narration here throughout the entire issue.
Oh, Jesus.
Here's my
Look,
problem, though. We
go
get
ahead.
Illyana. She's doing the first-person narration in the narrator boxes. And then at some point, we also get her internal dialogue in balloons, in the panels.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, what? Well, how does that?
That's bad form, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In addition to that, the thing I struggled with too at times, I'm like, how old are you again?
Yes.
Because I was like, the voice was so wrong
Yes.
for this young girl or whatever. I'm like, what?
There's one line at the end where, like, she's recapping everything. She says, "Upon further analysis," I'm like, what? You're 14.
Thank
What?
you. It was driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
this is not good writing here. But
no, I was like, make her sound like her age. It would have been so much better.
Anyway.
So yeah, she in the narration she's like, "Cat's nearby, already dead. I broke her neck. Belasco applauded my strength and skill. I wish I'd slain him instead. I'm so glad he's pleased with me." So that's like her, I guess, her demon side and her good human side in conflict, right?
Yeah, because he's been training her, like we said in like issue 3, he was training her to be a master of the dark arts.
Right. So basically, yeah, there's kind of like an explanation that's, see, and this is what's confusing, is this is not Storm, this is the evil Storm, right? Or the demon.
Well, no, this is Storm. This is Storm, like when Storm went into this dimension, again, it's a different dimension. It's not our Storm. It's a Storm from a different dimension.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But when she got sucked into this, she wasn't evil. She was good, and she fought Belasco. But when she was about to kill him, she actually did kill him. And because she tried to kill him, it corrupted her soul, and he remained in power. So that's another key point we need to remember here towards the end. But she is a good person in this dimension. Like, she's still good.
Yeah. But what I mean is it's not our Storm.
Correct. It is not
right.
our Storm. It is a Storm, not our Storm. All right.
So then she kills Storm. She stabs Storm.
Yeah, this confused me here because he gives her a knife for her, and he says, hey, Illyana, why don't you kill that Storm there for me? Because I need to get her soul or whatever. And she says, she looks at Storm, and Storm smiles at her and like, oh yeah, it's okay, go ahead and kill me. So she kills Storm, stabs her with the knife, and then Storm's power goes nuts, and she starts like destroying Belasco's castle. And then he gets mad at Illyana for like killing Storm. You told her to kill Storm.
Yeah, I didn't get that either, because it seems like the reason the lightning comes is not because Storm willed it, but it's because she dies, right? Because it says here her ability. Okay, blah 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 blah. With her death, though, the sky over Belasco's fortress goes crazy. It's almost as if she was holding back the weather, and now that she's dead, it goes crazy. So then it almost hits Belasco. You're right. And so then it like knocks over this rock that lands on another demon. And then Belasco's like, "Curse you, girl! I endured your defiance and rebellion for the last time." Yeah, so now she's mad at her, which makes no sense.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Brandon, you didn't understand that either? Did that
No, I didn't get it. Again, I read the same thing, and I was like, it seemed like such a conflicting message. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You said one thing, now you're pissed at her? I don't. Yeah, it was garbage. I did not understand it. I didn't.
And then Illyana summons her, because her mutant power, she can summon these little teleportation discs, right? And like she goes through limbo when she teleports. And so she summons one of those discs, and she carries herself and Storm out of the castle. Hey, why didn't you just do that in the first place? You know?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Great point. Yeah, once again, I'm going to have to apologize for choosing this. Oof. I blew it.
Well,
I think what we learned here is maybe next time you're on, I should pick the book, because apparently when Mike L picks the book, it's terrible, and then when you pick the book, it's terrible. So maybe I should make your next selection.
I'm not good.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Anyway,
Mike L, she teleports them to safety, but Storm's dead, so she buries Storm
under some rocks.
Yeah, and then what happens there, Mike?
And then what happens is Storm resurrects herself as like a zombie.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on here, because then Colossus comes barging in, and he's dead too in this world, Colossus.
Right.
So I guess she's just, I don't know what's happening here.
No. Actually. So then Colossus appears, even though he's dead. Then she Now, again, we should point out that in the comics, her mutant power, or maybe it's her sorcerer power.
No, it's actually her mutant power.
Oh, okay. Is that she can teleport, but she has to teleport to Limbo and then out to go anywhere. So even when she's with the X-Men, if she's like in New York and she wants to go to LA, she has to go to Limbo, then go to LA, right?
Yeah.
So
wait. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
So when she makes those like light circle things, you're saying if she's, I don't know, at Xavier's School for the Gifted, if she's like, fuck it, I want to go to South Africa, I have to take a detour to Limbo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's instantaneous. It's not like, it just, she goes down through Limbo and then pops back up. It's
But
not
if
like
it's instantaneous, what's the point then?
Yeah.
Well, it's better than walking.
Yeah. And it is kind of weird.
I'm saying, are there potentially consequences?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess when they're in limbo for like a little bit, right? Like bad things could happen to them theoretically.
But yeah, anything could happen. Yeah.
Okay.
But it is weird that that's her mutant power because it is tied to Limbo, and she wasn't into Limbo until she got yanked in there by Belasco. So it's weird that that's her mutant power.
What a coincidence.
But like that's why I think in issue 1 or 2 her mutant power develops because in the X-Men world she was a little girl, so your powers don't develop until you become a teenager usually. So then when she became a teenager down in Limbo, she started getting the ability to make these little discs and shit. So.
That's a good restaurant name, discs and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. We sell pancakes and soup.
So then we get another convenient little plot twist where she teleports to get away from Colossus and then magically ends up not only on Earth, but right in front of her, the house that she grew up in. And this is also the first time she realizes that she could have ever gone to Earth, which I think is idiotic.
Yes.
Why
don't you just teleport to Earth all the time?
Right. So then she's like, Papa or Mama, Papa, it's Illyana. So then she sees her mother and father, but since she's aged 7 years since the last time they saw her, they don't believe it's her. And so they're like, who are you? You're not our daughter. You're too old. Get away from here. You're not welcome here. Of course, they're all speaking English.
And the mom also said she's kind of dressed like a whore. She's like,
Yes.
Hey, to be fair, Belasco called someone a slut at one point.
Yes. I was going to get to that, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was like, sorry, Michael. I didn't mean to say that.
The she-devil. She calls her a slut.
I laughed and laughed. That was the funniest part of the whole comic book.
Me too, yeah. So, her parents don't know who she is, so now she's down and out. And then all of a sudden she sees, I'm assuming it's a vision, of the dead demon X-Men coming back. And then she passes out, and then she is woken up by Belasco slapping her.
Yeah, just slapping. Slapping a 14-year-old girl dressed in loincloths.
Right.
This is kind of weird.
Now, I did say that I did like art in this issue, but the next page does look a little rushed. Like that shot of her being held up by Colossus is pretty rough. It's a little bit rough. Rushed.
There's a lot of rushed stuff in this.
And then basically, so now what is Belasco doing here? So
he's taking a part of her soul to make another of them bloodstone deals.
Oh, right. So then we see kind of like smoke coming out of her eyes, and we see like a demon face of her in the smoke. And I guess, that becomes, every time I click on this thing, an ad pops up. But anyway, so that adds like another stone to the medallion thing, right?
Yeah. And then to punish her, he banishes her to like a wintry landscape.
Right. So then she appears there, and then the demon X-Men all disappear. So now she's in this wintry landscape, like dressed very scantily, kind of like wandering around trying to find shelter. And all this time she's like narrating, first-person narration, right? So then she finds an oak. This is so weird. She finds a big oak tree. Talking about how. Oh, go ahead, Mike Dell.
Well, in the previous issue, when Storm was trying to teach her good magic, she told her this tree was created by Storm from one magical acorn. And so this tree has magic in it. And this is Aurora's tree. So she's like, oh, look, I found Aurora's tree. So that's what that is.
She needed to pull a Star Wars and cut open the belly of the Tauntaun or whatever the hell it was. Getting there.
Right.
Warm.
Yeah, so then she's like, Aurora's magic flows so strongly through the oak that Belasco couldn't sweep it away, like he did everything else. The tree must die naturally, worn down by the elements that once nurtured it. So then she hides, so she goes inside the tree, or no, she's next to the tree, and then she creates I guess, is that a pentagram? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
It looks like the bottom, the bottom point of a pentagram.
Yeah. And then she creates another acorn, And then it's so, again, the narration's awkward because she's like, I did this once before. And then there's a note, last issue. And she says, but that acorn only looked perfect. Only looked perfect. Inside, it was rotten to the core, like me. This one is no different. And then that one's rotten too, right? So then she falls over. And
it bursts and all kind of black goo goes all over.
Right. So then she tries to create another one. And then wait, is this the same page? Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. No, that was the same page. Sorry, guys. And so then, then this tree gets knocked over.
Yeah, because like I guess all the magic got sucked out of it and it collapses.
Right. And then it crumbles into dust. And then she's like, it's more than I can bear. So then she's like, for a while, I seek refuge in blind rage. So I guess that keeps her warm for a while. And then she uses her magic to create her soul sword, and then she creates another disc, and then we cut over to Belasco.
Because she's embracing her darker side here, because that's the lesson she learned. Storm made this big oak tree out of because she was using love to create it, where the dark side of me, I can't, I'm corrupted, so I need to embrace my dark side. Instead of an acorn, I'm going to create a sword, and I'm going to go kill Belasco.
Right,
that's what she decides to do.
So then we cut over to Belasco.
Brandon's favorite line's coming up.
Oh yeah. Where is it here? So he's talking about what happened to him, and he's like, very soon I will be free of this accursed prison. How ironic that those who caused my downfall, the jungle man Khazar and his slut Shana the She-Devil, will be part of it.
That's amazing.
I love it. Yeah.
Slut.
I love
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then so we see I guess these are statues of Khazar, Shauna. I don't know who the other two are.
I mean, like Belasco made these statues of them, and he calls her a slut, but he still dresses her all scantily clad. He could have put a suit on her. Or something.
Yeah, you're right. I guess the other ones are the Atlantean android Dirk and Queen Anne of Lemuria. But then
they're very good. Yeah, they're very
then
good.
all of a sudden, what's her name? Magik or Illyana shows up, and she smashes the statues, and she's like, "Remember me?" It's like one of those action movie moments, right? She's holding.
And by the way, he's like, while this is all going on in Belasco's world, he is engaged with Khazar in battle. Like in the Khazar book, like Belasco
really?
Is in that. Yeah, so this is kind of like an offshoot of what's happening in the Khazar book as well.
Weird. Hey, real quick, in that scene, so, because I think, Michael, you just said, it's like a typical cliche, remember me? But in my mind, too, shouldn't that have been like its own, like, what do you call it, like a splash page where it's just like, remember me? And it's just a page of her, like, because I thought it was so anticlimactic just to give her that one tiny panel there. I thought it was going to be like, I'm here to, like, kick your ass. Let's give her the full page. Nah.
I agree.
Yeah, good point.
The whole plot, if this is a 4-issue series, really, if you're structuring the plot, this final issue should be her confronting Belasco, and that should be all of it. Like, this whole issue should be her fighting Belasco. Like,
we get about 3 pages of that. That's fine.
Issue 3 should have ended with her realizing, embracing her dark self, and then, like, the last panel of that book is, like, her preparing for battle, and you're like, oh, shit, yeah, I want to see that. And then issue 4, you have the big fight and everything. But in this issue, we get like maybe a page of them fighting, and that's it. That's basically it.
Yeah, but we also get 2 pages of acorns.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of sitting around a tree talking and shit, and not a lot of fighting. I want punches. That's what I want. So.
Agreed.
Yeah, like Sim comes running in to like stop or protect Belasco. She hits him once with the sword and just guts him and kills him, basically.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that was quick.
So she guts him, and then she destroys all these books that I guess contained all the secrets to all the magic. And then Belasco's freaking out because he's like, oh, eons of knowledge have been lost. But she's like, in her mind, she's like, that's okay, because I read them all. She's like, the learning isn't lost. It's merely been passed from one demon mage to another, right? So, and then she grows horns and she's got fangs. And so, and then it's funny because then all of a sudden, this is like a 1960s comic, because then Belasco's like, spawn of the pit, she's growing horns and fangs. Well, mine are fading, you know? And with them, much of my arcane power.
Yeah, so while she's becoming more demonic, he's becoming more human. And So it comes to the time where she's going to kill Belasco, but then she remembered what happened with Aurora and Storm. She's like, no, I can't kill him. I have to show mercy.
Right.
So she does not kill him.
Right. Yep. So yeah, we see like the she's holding up the sword, and then she's like, I wear horns as he did. Just become like him. And then she stops, and then she's like, no, and he's like, fool. You renounce your heritage, that kind of thing. And then now he basically looks like a regular human, right? And it's funny because then he's like, pitiful, pathetic, human weakling. And she's like, don't get cocky, Belasco. You're alive solely because I spared you. In fair combat, your dark child beat you, right? And then he, I guess he just disappears under his own power, right? He's out.
Yeah, even though he doesn't have magic powers anymore, I guess, but he still does have magic powers.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Go back to Khazar, dork. Go fight Jungle Boy. Can't handle this 14-year-old girl. Beat it.
So then she is like, again, narrating, and she's walking out to this like pentagram, kind of like balcony in this like cave thing. And she's like looking at her medallion thing and thinking about Aurora. And then she's like, for me, 7 years have passed since I came to Limbo. For the X-Men on Earth, barely seconds. So then this cuts over basically back to the scene from, what was it, X-Men 160?
Actually, the framing device, like the beginning of this limited series, there's a couple pages of her. And then here at the end, it's actually from, I think, New Mutants 14.
Okay.
Because she's looking back. This whole story is told in flashback. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So then, we cut over and we see the X-Men pulling her out of the disc, whatever thing. And then when she comes up, she is... now she's a 14-year-old. It's funny because she's wearing different clothes, and the narration is like, I use my powers to dress for the occasion. I hope they like it.
But wait. Isn't there something, though, in that scene, too, like, or right around there where, like, she comes back, because you pointed this out before, Michael, you're like, all in English when she talks to her parents.
Right.
But don't they call out here that it was like, it was Russian, and they translated
Yes. They're actually...
So why did they do that here?
I don't know. You're right.
It's
like
so
translated
stupid.
You're right. Yeah. Makes sense.
Oh my God.
And then she's like narrating. She's like, I returned with the X-Men to their home. And then she's like talking about how much she loves her friends. And then, and then she's, back in like a Xavier's Institute, and it's snowing. And then she's looking over and she sees the New Mutants, and she's talking about how they're mostly my age. But what is my age? I was born 7 years ago, yet I've lived over twice that. And in my soul, I feel as old as time. And then she's like, I suppose in the final analysis, that's all that can or should be said about anyone. An end. Oh, I skipped a part, but I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Sorry.
And then at the end, it says, an ending can also be a beginning. And that's the end.
Ugh.
How profound.
Ugh.
In the final analysis. So when she was in Limbo, she also became an accountant. I guess.
Yeah.
She did my taxes this year. Did she remind me, like, did she come back in other X-Men or New Mutant comics? I don't remember.
What do you mean?
Like after Magik and all this, like, was she a prominent character?
Yeah. In New Mutants, she was very prominent.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember. All right.
Yeah, and that's like, she was in the New Mutants movie. She was in, like, as far as I know, she's still around. She left and came back, but yeah, she was a major part of the team for years.
Yeah, she was always a cool character in the New Mutants. She was nice. So.
She was visually the most prominent because she has the sword and the demon.
And the little teleportation discs and everything.
Right.
Huh, okay.
There it is. So, Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it wasn't great. I thought it was pretty boring. No, I did, yeah. And I know I picked it, and in rereading it, I was like, well, that was a boring comic book.
Yeah, it was Dullsville, man.
It was so much, whether you want to call it, narrating or voiceover, whatever, so much of that, not nearly enough fighting. When you did have the fight scenes, they just weren't very interesting. I know it's not a standalone comic. If I read it as a standalone, I would have said it was shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't like how the whole thing was plotted, like I mentioned. Looking back through it again, though, Mike, I did like Sal's art later in the book. It seemed like towards the second half of the book, it became more Sal Buscema.
Yeah, that could be.
Less hurried.
Yeah, but
there is
also
some good stuff at the end. But
we also got to mention Tom Palmer's inks, right? Famous inker. Everything he inks looks like him. So even though we've got 3 artists on four issues, it still is pretty consistent because
yeah, at least Palmer is inking. Yeah,
right.
because Brandon, that's the one thing I've learned doing this show is that inkers really dictate what the art looks like more than the artist.
How do you mean though? Like how? Like I don't understand.
Like when I was a kid, I thought the artist, like, all right, whatever I see in the book, that's because of the artist. But it's actually how the inker inks it. I thought the inker just traced what the artist drew, but really the inker influences everything. Yeah. And like when we see a book drawn by the same guy but inked by different people, it's completely different art. It's a completely different style.
But doesn't so? I guess when I'm asking this, doesn't the art come first though, right? So
yeah, the artist really controls the composition of the panel, the dynamics of the characters, and that kind of stuff. But really, the inker can give it a whole entirely different feel depending on the width of the lines he uses, where he puts the shading. It really is kind of fascinating, and I didn't appreciate that when I was a kid. Michael, it would be pretty cool to see give 6 different inkers the same page and say, "All right, ink it," and then
absolutely, yes.
You know, that would be. I'm sure that someone has had to have done that before, published this as an exercise, right? Like
the closest thing you could do is to take one artist on a series. Like for example, Brett Blevins. Brett Blevins did New Mutants. And some, in say 3 issues in a row, there might be 3 different inkers, and the art looks completely different. So yeah, like you said, the inker definitely controls the texture of the line, the width of the line. He can add more shading, less shading, right? He can add blacks.
And you know what else I always think of is at the end of Secret Wars, I think the final issue, it was inked by several different people because they were trying to get it done on time. Right. And there's one page that was inked by Art Adams, and it looks like it was drawn by Art Adams.
You know what, though? I think he actually did just flat out draw it.
I don't think he just inked it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And it was like, oh, holy hell. So that really made me think, oh, yeah, this is interesting. But anyway, at least I think he only inked it. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, yeah, so that's fascinating stuff. But Tom Palmer was famous for working with John Buscema a lot, right? Even though this is Sal.
Oh, yes, for 50 issues of Avengers or something crazy, yeah.
So, all right, I don't know. What else about this, Michael, should we talk about? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean...
Pretty dull.
Huh?
It's pretty dull.
Things, though, I actually... here's the thing. Chris Claremont's one of those guys, he's got a lot of wacky ideas, and, it's kind of one of those things where when you read about the ideas, say, Marvel Universe or whatever, you're like, oh, that's cool. She aged 7 years in 2 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, I like the gimmick. The idea is great.
All the ideas sound good on paper, but when you read the story, you kind of go, well, okay, why are there demon X-Men? Why are there double? Why this? Why that? And so it's almost like he has a lot of good ideas, but they don't necessarily all mesh together properly,
Yeah, the whole different version of Storm, and I don't like any of that.
Well, for me, like I said again, I just didn't, my shit memory would not remind me how we got to the situation where we were in. So for me, it felt so convoluted. But I hear what you're saying, though, Mike L. I mean, I think the idea was cool. That's what I'm saying. As a kid, I remember thinking whoa, this is awesome. What a cool idea, But like I said, in just reading the single issue, I was like, God, this sucked. I mean, it's not great, man.
Brandon, you did love the X-Men though when you were young. So, what was your favorite X-Men storyline, or what's the thing that sticks in your mind the most when you think back?
Well, like I said, I mean, for me, always, first and foremost, I've told Mike L as well, is Spider-Man was always my favorite. I mean, that was my favorite, and it took me a little longer to get into X-Men and stuff, but I mean, obviously, the Days of Future Past stuff is great. The stuff with Storm when she what were they called? The people underground that she was leading?
The Morlocks.
Morlocks. That stuff was great. I mean, I love. Still, one of my favorite covers I always remembered is "Welcome to the X-Men, Rogue." Remember that one where?
Hope you survive the chance. Yeah.
It was such a great cover. They're all kind of attacking her like that. I love that. I loved.
Was that 171, Michael?
I'm not sure. I can look that up though.
Wow, that's impressive if you know that. But yeah, I don't know. X-Men comics were so fun to me because you could make up whatever crazy fucking power you wanted for these mutants, and even when they were kind of dumb, you're still like, okay, like this person could do that, and like that's cool that they can just do this thing. I don't know. As a kid, it was so fantastic and fun to think about that. So yeah, I loved it. I always thought that was so much fun.
Yeah, I was a big X-Men fella as well. All right, so Brandon, if you had to give Magik issue 4 a rating 1 out of 10, what do you give it?
I don't know. Maybe like a 3, something like that. Like it's you know, like I said about the artwork. I mean, I'm just saying there were places where like her face was drawn so poorly, and I'm like, ugh. And there was some, you know, it wasn't all terrible, but like I said, between the narration and just how slow and plodding it was, it just wasn't very good. I really didn't care for it.
Yeah, actually liked a lot of the art in the second half upon the second, reviewing it again. But the first half, yeah, I hear you about her faces sometimes are really rough.
Yeah.
The writing, I did not like any of it. I did not like any of it. Like the big problem was it's not in her voice. It's just, I don't. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'll go 4 out of 10, I guess.
Oh,
4.
I thought you might go lower than me. Okay.
Slightly higher. So I really like the cover as well. So I guess.
Yeah, the cover's great. It gets points for that.
Michael, what do you think?
Well, I didn't mind it as much as you guys, so I'm going to give it a 5 because even bad Chris Claremont, I enjoy reading his stuff. So yeah, and I do like the art. I like Sal Buscema and I like Tom Palmer. So yeah, I give it a 5.
All right, there you go.
we're all in the ballpark then, so that's about right.
Hey, Brandon, go ahead.
No, please, go ahead.
Well, I was going to give the next issue for next week.
Oh, sure. Tell me what it is. Lay it on me.
Well, you like crazy powers and shit.
I do.
So next week, we're going to be doing, to appease our New Universe fans out there. Every time we do a New Universe book, Brandon, everyone raves about it. So we're going to do DP7.
Oh, yeah.
Issue 6.
Woo!
And this is from 1986. We're going to do issue 6. Because the book actually opens with a nice summary of all the characters and their powers. So we'll just start there, issue 6. Now, Brandon, I'm also a scholar, and I enjoy scholarly pursuits. And sometimes on the internet, when I'm doing my research, I've encountered many short films with DP in the title, but this is completely different. This is something completely different. This DP stands for Displaced Paranormals.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was called. I was looking it up when you said it. I was like, this sounds... Oh, yeah, I remember this. Yeah, I'm looking at the first issue. I remember. I had this. I owned the first issue.
I've never read any of this.
Oh, my God. I had the first one. Yep.
Well, can I just butter you up a little bit, Cousin Brandon?
Yeah.
It was written and drawn by the exact same people that did Quasar number 3. Yeah.
No.
Mark Grenwald and Paul Ryan. Bring it on.
Because I loved the cover of this. I remember thinking like, okay, yeah, weirdos, I'm in. Oh, my God. I may have to call back in.
Hey, if you want to come back, Brandon, you're more than welcome.
I might have. DP7. I don't even remember what happened.
Issue 6.
The cut. Well, yeah, I'm sure. I think I probably only read the first one, but man, they made more than one, huh? Wow.
They did 32 issues. This was like the longest running New Universe title. 32 issues. Of DP7.
Wow. Oh, yeah, I'm looking at issue 32. Has a weird cover as well. No, it does. It does. Yeah. Hey, but before I forget, it's comic book related. I've got to recommend this because we were talking about movies earlier. Another movie, and Mike Dell, this is one you want to get on your podcast. Have you fellas seen the 1990 movie The Ambulance?
Not the new one, because there's a new
No. 1990 movie. Yeah. Holy...
I never heard of this. It's a superhero-related movie?
No. It's supposedly like a horror/thriller, whatever.
Oh, okay.
But here's the only important things you need to know. But you have to watch this movie. It is crazy. But star of the movie, Eric Roberts, number one.
Okay.
In full mullet. I mean, it is crazy bananas, his hair. But this is why I bring this up. He works as an artist at Marvel Comics.
Oh.
And his boss is Stan Lee.
Come on.
Yes! Stan Lee. I've never seen him have so many speaking parts in a movie before.
It's actually Stan Lee.
Stan Lee.
Wow.
Yes, you have to watch this movie. When this happened, I had a freak out in front of my wife. I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is Marvel. He works at Marvel. That's Stan Lee. I was like, couldn't believe it.
Wow.
So you have to watch it.
I'll make a note of it. Yeah, we'll get to it on LCS, I guess, at some point.
It is so fucking bonkers. Oh, you know who else was in the movie for a hot second? I don't know if you guys watched Northern Exposure.
Yes.
Set in Canada, one of my all-time favorite shows, set there in your part of the world, Mike L.
Alaska.
Sort of. Well, close enough. I'm kidding. But Janine Turner, who played Magik.
I'm a big fan. Big fan of
Me
Janine Turner.
too. Oh, man.
Law and Law. Yeah.
Yep. So she is and she's like 21 years old in this movie.
Does she have her little short haircut?
No, but she looks good.
Oh, yes. What is she famous for again?
Northern
For
Exposure.
that, I think for the exposure.
Boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Got it.
Big fan.
Yep. So I think you're going to want to watch it. I think you're going to want to
All right. We'll take it into consideration.
All right, there you go. We'd like to thank Cousin Brandon for joining us on his 5th appearance. I did check, and it was Kevin. Kevin Jank was on number 100, so I don't know what the heck is going on.
God damn it.
Yeah.
I think you came on the LCS show maybe, and I think you did read along at home, and you told us how much you hated it or something.
Could be, yeah.
I still don't think that's right, but I'll accept it.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, you can hear every episode of Flea Market Fantasy at www.comicbooksyndicate.com. Every week we review a different Bronze Age comic. 1 week I pick, 1 week Mike Dell picks, sometimes Cousin Brandon picks. They're all awesome. And until next Tuesday, Right!